Well, it was only 18 this morning when I got up. So I'm going to clean up these flitches here and get the ones out from underneath that are going to be cut into boards. And I'll hopefully be able to show you how that one set of brackets work. Bullseye! Come on! Stay here. Well, that job's done. The only thing I ended up with out of that pile was that one flitch that's on the table there, on the bunk. And that's the one we're going to check and see if we can hook the dog against those brackets that I made. When you're going to cut a flitch, you want to try and get the board basically centered on the dog if you can. Doesn't have to be, but it's nice if it is. So we'll put my two stops here and there. Technically, just to see if they work, you really don't need to cut, because the cutting is something we know that the woodmizer can do. What it is it's the holding that's the issue. Looks like I got some snow here, ice. So this is a 1-inch thick board here, and you can see that that's nice and tight, okay? So I can cut on that and cut a piece out of that. Now let me just show you this. What would I do with that if I didn't have these? Alright, first of all, let's work. So we're going to have this one and this one. Now you see I have them up all the way. Obviously they're no good because they're right at the top of the cut. So what I need to do is lean this thing down enough to be able to get the bark off of here. So when I put that on there, in fact I'll get you over here to see it. What I want you to see is that the back of the board isn't straight anymore. It's already starting to lean. Now geometry should tell you that if I hook that dog down low where the dogs are in the back here, that this should hang on. But if you look at this close, you see this is already coming away from the backstop. That means the cut's not going to be straight, and it's coming away on both sides. And you can't, I mean, how can I go any lower on that? I'm all the way, I'm a quarter of an inch up from the bark. That's why I'm saying those stops that you get from Woodmizer, they're good for cutting the tree, they're good for slabbing, but they're not good for cutting the flitches. And if I try and put this stop somewhere else to get that, no matter where I put that stop, it wants the board to be wobbly. And the problem with this is when the saw comes this direction, it pulls the board, and if you don't hang on to the board, what happens is the saw blade will pull down, hit the guide on the saw, and you're out of blade. Okay? So when you use the stops that I made, and like I said, you don't even have to cut the wood to know that this is better. What I gotta do is just put the thing on. So here's what I want you to look at. Look how straight that board is. See how nice and straight that is? And it's straight on both of them, okay? And the good thing about this, when I finish tightening it, is I can barely pull it. Oh yeah, I'm moving the board, but I can't pull it over. That's the whole point. So I don't have to cut to see if these work. I know they work. But the things with the balls on them, or the little wheels here, do not, because of the way that they're angled to be able to fit that. So I'll start the saw up and make it. Okay, so we got the stops are in place there that I made that's specific to my mill because of the 6 place there. We're going to start the saw. The saw's warmed up. I'm going to move it down to 7 inches, which will just get the bark off of the tree on that end over there, across the flitch. Probably didn't notice it, but what I noticed is that the top of the board did not pull this way like it does when it's just hooked up to the stops that come with the woodmizer. So I had said that that 1x4 and smaller, I don't need them because I can hook onto the stops that are right here. But I can get a 1x6 out of that now by flipping it over. Again, it's nice and straight with the stop. Okay. Now, well, let's see. It's away a little bit at the top. It's away there a little bit at the top. Now, can we fix that? That's the issue that you don't have, that you can't do with the other stops that come with it. So let me raise it up. So see, this is what's nice about this. I raised the dog up a little, but now I'm nice and flat against the stop on both sides. There's some ice here holding this one, but I'm still fairly flat, okay? So that's the good part about this. Now somebody had said to me about cutting, what the heck did they say? Oh, something that's smaller than a 1x6. Can you put a board underneath there? Well, you can see here that on this side, I definitely will have the 1x6 if I just take the bark off. But on this side over here, I'm kind of below the bark. So let me measure it and see what kind of board I can get out of it. See, a 1x6 would be just about at the top of my stops there. That flitch would have been wide enough, I'd have been able to get a 1x6, a nice 1x6 out of that, whereas you can see there's some wane on that. But either way, we're only testing the stops to see if they hold the board. So I have enough pressure on there to actually bend the board, and yet the stops are still fine. And on this side you can see I have a full 1x6. So the 1x6 is what I said I would be able to get out of this with these stops. That's not an issue. Just so happened that this one had more wane on it than I thought. But either way, now if I wanted to cut that to a 1x4, I would just take my stops out of there take my backstops off and just hook that with a different type of a hookup, that little round adapter that goes onto the dog, and that would hold that better. So I'm satisfied with the way they work just for this one board. I do want to test it on a lot more boards, but obviously it holds it straight. That's the whole point of this. The fact that this right here is against the board all the way up is what the problem was before. You didn't have that. And that board's not going anywhere. I grab a hold of that, I can't do nothing with it. Okay, I can move it only because I'm putting all my weight on it, but it's not going to come out of there. Guys, one of the things you have to keep in mind is these dogs right here, they always have the ability to rock upward. The weight of the thing you're cutting is what keeps them down there, okay? Plus, if you have it attached in two places, so it's only friction that keeps this dog from curling up. The friction against the two stops. And you don't have that friction when you use the stops that come with the machine properly. Okay, it just doesn't want to work for you. At least it doesn't for me. And I'm happy with what I got there. So as far as the other stops go, I'll take these off, which I really like that come right off the thing. And we'll put the other ones back on here that I made yesterday. Now, one thing nice about these is these don't require that you have the ice off of the 6x6 there. And again, with these, you're also straight along that stop, which is not what you can achieve when you're trying to use the other stops that come with the machine. Let me take these stops off. There's no sense in really cutting there. I could cut a 1x5 out of there, but it's not going to matter. Let's see, what I said there is I have made both sets of these things to cut a 6-inch board, and that's what I got there. Okay, that's exactly 6 on this one. It was a little higher on the other one, but that's how they work. And you know, all you got to do is know how to run the mill. Once you know how to run the mill, you'll know what works and doesn't work. Now let me just take them off of there and show you how hard that would be to clamp that board just with the dog. now if I wanted to put this board on here, let me see what all you can see here. Yeah, if I wanted to put this board on here with these stops, okay, and I want to say cut a 1x4 out of this. So I'm going to be able to cut 2 inches out of the top of this thing. First of all, you want the board, it has to be below that 2 inches, okay? Now this can work here because you can use the adapter that they have. But as soon as you try and tighten that up, see that? What happens is you'll go against these stops here, which are too low for this type of application, and you literally pull the board away from those stops. Now, if you have a bunch, this one's not pulled away, but look at the angle of it. If you have a bunch of boards, it would be better. But what I find out is I cut one log and then cut the flitches. And then I cut another log and cut the flitches. I don't want to be saving the flitches to the end because they're a pain in the butt. You can't tell whether you're making any money or not sawing because flitches take the longest thing to cut. When you cut flitches, you're actually better off saying to yourself, okay, this is going to be my wood, and then you're doing it for yourself, which makes it, you know, the price fine because you got the wood, and rather than throw it away, you're going to cut boards. But that's my whole point, that this, no matter what you do there, when it comes to cutting flitches, you have a problem that I don't have with either one of those adapters that I made. I'll show you again. We'll put these down. Oh, I didn't even see you. And somebody the other day had asked me, you know, if you could use these backwards, and you could. If you don't like the idea of setting the board on top of this, you could put these in here backwards. Now the only thing is this stop here is sort of in the way, this one. So, you know, better off going the way I have it. Could always put a piece on here or put an 1/8 inch piece down there if you wanted to. But like I said, for me, I always end up with like 2 flitches that I can actually get wood out of. And that's all that it takes. Against them, and I tighten up, and I don't have to be real fussy about where I tighten, as long as I'm somewhere within the height of that tubing. So you can still see it's straight there with the tube, and the good thing about it is that, you know, I'm only wobbling this. I can't pull it over like I could the other one. Guys, I'm not trying to be Mr. Know-It-All. I'm just trying to make things easier for myself, and I'm sharing with the YouTube community what I'm doing. If you're not interested in what I'm doing, I wouldn't do it. But a lot of people are. They want to see some of this stuff happening. So if you can do something better, then go do it. This way here, at least you have a little bit of an idea for something maybe even more adjustable. It would be nice if these tubes were on the side and were fully adjustable up and down to like a height of, I don't know, 10 inches at least would give you, or even more than that, would give you some nice support. Now these here, these clamps that are on here, they're not bad, but they're not as nice as the ones that I made that go around this, because you're trying to grab a hold of the bunk with just that one bolt on there. Now there might be a couple places where I could maybe maybe add a little bit of weld or something on here, or try and tighten these up in a way that would be better. But like I say, for this and for what I'm doing, well, yeah, if you just watch how you put them on, make sure you squeeze them tight. Keep the top down and squeeze and pull the bottom up hard. You don't get a whole lot of movement. Alright? I mean, I think it's a good idea, but like I say, I like the ones that I have painted for this application. It's quicker, and I think they're actually a little bit better. There's more support. Maybe I could put another bolt in there to make that snug up better. I was trying to make it as simple as I could. I didn't really want a whole lot of bolts and nuts and stuff that you got to be tightening and playing games with. That's why I like my siding jigs. You just throw them on there. There's nothing to tighten. And the same thing with the jigs that I made for these backstops for myself. Guys, have a good one. I'm not going to do no more cutting because obviously I've got freaking ice all over here trying to work and I don't want to break my neck. Have a good one.